Welcome to episode 70 of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. I'm your host, Rick Sense, and today I am joined by Jackie Herring, one of the elite athletes that is going to be competing at the 2025 World Snowshoe Championship taking place at Ariens Nordic Center the weekend of December 19th through the 21st. Jackie is a professional triathlete, has competed at world events at an elite level. She's also competed at snowshoe, where she's a former U.S. snowshoe racing national champion. Ironman has really been a focus for her, as well as the triathlete racing, and she is known for recording the fastest time ever by an American woman in an Ironman event. And she did that earlier this year in Hamburg. So you are from Madison, Jackie. We love the fact that you're from Wisconsin. And Jackie's competing at the 2025 World Championship next month at Ariens Nordic Center, again on home turf. And we are excited to see a local athlete compete for the World Championship here next month. So, Jackie, thanks for making the time in your busy schedule for joining us, and welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat to you, talk about all things snowshoe, and just get excited for this event and to welcome people to Wisconsin.
Could you give listeners, they may not know your ties to Wisconsin. I mentioned you're from Madison, but maybe if you could walk listeners through that, and then maybe walk through your story to date, your past, current connection to the state, and
Sure.
what sports you're competing in currently.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm a born and raised and lifer here in Wisconsin. I was born in Madison and I grew up in DeForest, which is real close to Madison. Went to school at UW La Crosse, where I swam and then ran also my senior year. And yeah, I've just always lived here. I love it here, and I have always obviously, I'm a huge sports fan, but also I've always done sports myself. So I mostly nowadays race triathlon. Like you said, I do middle distance, which is like half Ironman, and then full Ironman races. And nowadays, that is my full-time job, and I get to travel all over the world. Um, and yeah, get to enjoy racing anywhere that sounds cool. I do race a lot in the US if possible, because a lot of my kind of sponsors and supporters are based in the US. So that's what I mostly aim to do. Now I picked up snowshoe back in around probably 2013 or so. I started snowshoe running. I think we had a couple winters of like really, really good snow, and I was racing triathlon at the time, and I just wanted something to still be able to get outside, to get fresh air, and to just keep me engaged in sport. And I heard of running snowshoes, and so I got myself a pair, and it turned out to be just something I really enjoy and just love to do outside in the winter.
Now, I like to snowshoe. I am not even close to be considered any kind of athlete whatsoever, but I do know when I try to pick up my pace with snowshoes, you have a lot of opportunities to trip and fall or to maybe hit a pocket of snow that takes you lower than you want to go. Can you maybe walk listeners through the experience of a snowshoe race? Because it's not just putting on the snowshoes and going on a walk. It's a whole lot different world. Can you maybe give listeners an idea of that?
Yeah, definitely. So there's a lot of different types of snowshoes, and regular snowshoes that you might find at Costco or something, for example, you're you're probably not going to have a great time running in those snowshoes because they're going to be just a little bigger, a little heavier, and you probably will trip and fall a lot of times if you try to run on that. So there's two things to kind of think about when you're thinking about snowshoe running, and that's the type of snowshoe that you have. And that'll be both the size and the weight are things that can change. And then also the type of snow that you're going on. So obviously, if you just go out like a lot of people do, and one of the great things about snowshoeing is you can go out anywhere. It doesn't have to be specific snow. But if you go out in really deep, fresh snow and try to start running, you are going to fall down a whole bunch of times because it's just, you're going to be crashing into all that fresh snow and it's hard to break the trail. So there's that. And then if you go, like what we're going to experience at the Nordic Center, that's going to be groomed trails. That's going to be beautiful. It's going to be perfect for snowshoe running. That's kind of the ideal scenario because then you're on like a track that's going to be not have a lot of variation. It's not going to trip you up. So in that case, you can run almost normally and you don't have to think too hard about falling down.
How often do you bump into other competitors? Is it commonplace?
You mean physically bump
Yeah.
into them?
Yeah, while you're running.
Uh, not, you would really, it's not really a high, shouldn't be a contact sport, really.
Okay.
It's kind of the same as like running like a trail race or any running race, really. You're kind of like running. The only time you'd run into someone physically, is probably if you or them like trip and fall and they crash into you.
Okay. So it's a real disciplined sport. It's not, I mean, when I mentioned that I was going to be talking to somebody, their first thought was, well, when they all start, how do they don't trip over each other? And I said, well, it's not like that because I've seen a race, but I just wanted to get your perspective on that. So when you start out, is it kind of a fast, quick start, or is it a pace that gets developed first? How does that work when you're starting a race?
Yeah, the start of any race is always going to be a little quicker because depending how the trail goes, it's usually really wide in the start and then it will narrow out a lot of times. I don't know what it's like at the Nordic Center. I haven't been there, but usually the start will be a little quicker. People are kind of jockeying for position and then it does settle down. Snowshoe running is a really hard sport aerobically. So if you go too hard, it's just it just takes a bit to get your like breathing settled back down. So that's always something to pay attention to is obviously you want to get out fast, but also you can only go so fast. You know, you kind of have to stay within your own abilities on that.
So you're taking the world stage here in Burley, Wisconsin, which isn't exactly considered a world stage, but it is now with the wonderful center we have here at the Ariens Nordic Center. First of all, why did you make that decision? What led to this decision to compete at an elite level in sports like this? I mean, you came late to the racing. It sounds like you started in your 20s. So how has that impacted that, and why did you have that decision or that epiphany that I'm going to do this at that point?
As far as snowshoe racing in
Yeah, and
particular,
then yeah, in particular.
oh, yeah, I mean, for me, I love competing. It's hard for me just to just exercise without a specific goal. So when I first picked up those snowshoes a while back, I think that same year just started putting on snowshoe races for all the other people because I wanted to share this thing I discovered with all the runners I could find here in the Madison area. And so for several years, I had a snowshoe running series here just to introduce the sport to other people because, I mean, as you know, living in Wisconsin, winter gets like really long and it's just so many dark hours and it's just nice to get together with other people, try and find community and just get out in the outdoors. So I kind of found that to be my mission and I just wanted to kind of share the sport and introduce it. So it wasn't I wasn't thinking I was going to be competing at a super high level, but it also just so happened that I was still a professional triathlete way back then. And so I was going to be fast at it just because I run a lot. It was just a natural thing to just share it with others and try and grow the sport, I guess.
The iceberg of training. Everybody sees what an Olympic performer does or an elite athlete does the day of a race, but obviously that's just the tip of the iceberg for everything that goes into that. Could you maybe give listeners an idea of some of the effort that you have to put in and as far as the training that gets you to the point where you're even capable of competing on the world stage?
Sure, but I just want to preface that with this snowshoe event is open for people of all levels, and you do not need to be an elite athlete. And that's one of the very cool things about snowshoe racing is anybody can do it. Even you could show up and do it if you wanted to do the 5K. So before I get into how much I train, I don't want to scare people because this is my job. And just like everybody goes to work every day, I also go to work every day. It just happens to be exercise all day long. So I've been doing I've been a professional triathlete since 2000 maybe 2012 or so. So that entails training somewhere or plus or minus around 20-ish hours a week, maybe 25. And yeah, for me that's swimming, biking, running, strength, core, getting massage, just like taking care of my body, eating well, getting good sleep, just everything that goes into the full package of of training and staying healthy is kind of what I focus on. When it comes time to get ready for snowshoe races, I'm doing a lot of mobility stuff. Making sure I'm taking care of my hip flexors, some glute strengthening because it requires a lot more to be running with the snowshoes. So just making sure I'm feeling strong and everything in those parts, but also just trying to get out on as many snowshoe runs as I can. And that is a challenge with this race being kind of mid-December, is down here we may or may not get any good runnable snow before then. So utilizing, we've got a few places that will be making snow around here at that time. So just trying to get out to maybe some of those places if they'll let us snowshoe like around the outside of a ski track or something. So it's just general training, but then also as you get closer to the event, doing some specific training for the event itself.
Yeah, and you did bring up the fact that this is open. It's a whole weekend of events. It's not just the World Championship event itself. So let's talk about that for a little bit. For somebody that's new to the sport, who's maybe or isn't maybe running at this point, who's looking to try it, what advice would you give them before competing for the first time or participating in a weekend like this, as far as exercises they can do to make sure that they're maintaining uh, their bodies in such a way that they're able to perform a 5K? What kind of suggestions and advice would you give that athlete?
Yeah, so I would say first off, just train as you would for a normal 5K running race. Um, Ideally, I don't know the course there, but generally for snowshoe, you want to train as if it's going to be like a hilly or challenging 5K because it's going to be just a bit, well, not a bit, it's going to be like doubly hard on your body to run a 5K with snowshoes. The good thing is you can always take walking breaks. That's okay. That's a fine thing to do. But yeah, like I said, just making sure the hip flexors get tight snowshoe running. So just making sure you're prepping your body accordingly, keeping the hip flexors loose, stretching. But yeah, train for your 5K. Uh, Specific to snowshoe, just making sure you have your gear straight, making sure you have running snowshoes that fit you well, probably some like all your gear, socks that you like, that work, that don't get your feet all wet, good tights that snow doesn't get all stuck to. Just stuff like that, that will then when you show up there, you're going to feel like confident in your whole setup and kind of be ready to go.
You mentioned that you haven't been to the Ariens Nordic Center yet. Um,
No.
yeah, and I think you're going to be very impressed with the facility. It is world class. It truly is. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the challenging level of hills and things that you're going to be running. So, having said that, when you are preparing for a race that at a venue you have not been to before, what kind of things do you look at? What kind of things do you do to prepare mentally for not just the surprise of the race itself, but of the venue itself? It's new and fresh, and things you need to prepare for and look for there. What kind of things do you prepare for?
Yeah, I'll for sure have a look at the course and a look at the elevation and all that. And as you mentioned, the hills, I probably should have a look at that around now so I can make sure I'm training well for that. Yeah, just checking out the course is good, making sure, I like to plan things as convenient as possible. So, if I was looking at hotels or whatever, I just try to like plan it all as close as possible so I'm not like running all over the place. We happen to have family that live up in that area, so that'll be nice for us. And maybe I can sneak up there once before and check it out before the actual events, but just getting familiar with the course is probably the most important thing.
And with the race coming up that weekend, do you plan on participating in any of the other events, like the U.S. Championship or the Santa Run, things like that?
Oh, well, I am actually just pulled up the schedule here so I can scope out what we got going on. It looks like on Friday, the 5K. So if you ran the 5K on Saturday and then the 10K, oh no, the 5K on Friday and the 10K on Saturday. Yeah, I'll probably do both of those.
Okay.
And then A Santa ski race. That's probably not for me. I'm pretty bad at skiing, actually.
Okay. All right.
Uh, oh, and then there's an open 5K. There really is. I think the most important thing is there's a lot of different events for everyone. And for these, a lot of these snowshoe races, you see like families coming. And I think what's cool for this weekend is that there's enough different things going on that like a mom can do one race and then there's another race for the dad. Like, there's more than one option. So everybody can kind of participate.
And thinking back to when you actually organized the snowshoe races down in the Madison area, what kind of fan participation, what kind of atmosphere is around a race like that?
Yeah, well, when it's set up like this, when it's kind of more like festival style, we had one each winter for a few years that would be part of Madison's Winter Festival. So in that case, where you have a lot of like other events kind of going on, in that case, it would be really fun. You have the music blasting and people get a kick of they get a kick out of watching people snowshoe run because it's a thing that not many people have seen before. Not many people know that it exists even. So it's fun to watch. And hopefully we have, a loop thing so you can see people going by. And it'd be really neat if we have some fans and some people kind of out there checking it out. That's what I hope for.
Are you hoping for snow that day, or do you prefer it not being snowy? Snow as in falling snow.
Oh,
Does that matter to
whatever.
you? Is it, yeah, okay. There's not a real issue for you either way, that way.
Yeah, I love snow in whichever way. If it's coming down or if it's already down, either way is fine.
We do have snow on the ground up here already.
What?
We had our first snowfall overnight last night, and I do know that they'll be out making snow pretty soon, probably in the next week or so up at Ariens Nordic Center. So there'll
Wow.
definitely be snow. So looking ahead then to the actual day of, do you do anything to prep for it mentally? Anything that you do ahead of time? Do you have any superstition that you follow before a race?
I'd say, these type of races are just for fun for me. It's no pressure. It's just for kicks. But I don't know if it's a superstition, but I do eat pizza the night before every race. So I'll probably still do that. I do that even like any random race I don't care about. I eat pizza. It's just a thing. And my kids have actually started picking up that habit too. So I guess now it's what everybody does.
Looking forward then after you've been doing this now for a while and you probably are considering how you're moving forward in the sports that you're participating in as a triathlete. What are your longer term goals that you still have in front of yourself for your career?
I think now it feels like my purpose and something that kind of keeps me in the sport and drives me is just to show women what's possible. I guess, I'm over 40 and I have two kids. And so that puts me in, actually, I don't know if there's anyone else in that category in the professional field. So what drives me is just kind of showing what's possible and showing that, by keeping it light and fun, you can still do really well and you can kind of show your kids what's possible as a parent as well. So that's what keeps me going. That's what I focus on, and probably only race at this really high level in triathlon at least for a couple more years. I can imagine, but we'll see. If I keep feeling good and things keep going well, then I may go another year or two. But for now, it's just yeah about encouraging other women to get out there and go after big goals and see what they can do.
Jackie, if people wanted to learn more about you as an athlete and the things that you've done and what you're doing on a regular basis, is there any place that you'd want to direct them to go to get more information?
Yes, I think that the best places are probably on Instagram, Jackie M. Herring, or on Strava. I share all of my training on Strava, no secrets, so you can follow along there. I have a website, but no one goes to websites anymore, so Instagram's probably better. I have a YouTube channel as well where I put out sometimes weekly, sometimes whenever I have time, videos.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule, Jackie, and we're looking forward to seeing you here in Brilliant in a month and competing at the event. Folks out there, if you want to come on out, and because there'll be people from all over the world competing, from Spain, India, you name it, there'll be people here competing. So I'm sure Jackie would love to hear some cowbells thrown her way. as she's competing. So I wish you much success at this year's World Championship event. And listeners, thank you for tuning in to episode 70 of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. Please make sure you check out our other 69 episodes of the Travel Calumet Original Podcast by scrolling down the homepage and clicking on the microphone at travelcalumet.com, or by finding us on your favorite podcatcher or podcast app. And if you've liked what you heard today or previous episodes, please share and invite your friends to listen to the Travel Calumet Original Podcast. Help us share the news of all the great things to see and do here in Calumet County. Thank you for listening, and until next time.